So, welcome everyone. Let us start with the opening aspiration, and anyone who wants to read it out for all of us is most welcome. Please unmute and do so.
Yeah, I'll go. With boundless compassion and wisdom, I will work for the welfare of all. May we be free from hunger and discord and have joy and a world at peace.
Yeah, thank you. So, last time, if we may recollect, we were going through the verse 3, which was benefiting from solitude. And often we run away from solitude, from true solitude. It's like since we are not habituated, so it gives us really, uh, one can say, it makes us anxious. We feel uncomfortable. We don't want to be really with ourselves. So, but once we begin to become friends with that solitude, with that aloneness, and usually we are never alone. Usually we are always with our thoughts, and just that is, you know, not cannot be called really true aloneness. So we were just wondering with the words of Jetsunma, and last time also with Thomas Merton's words and words of Mother and Shuravindo on solitude or silence also and solitude. So I think let's begin with this reading only, where we'll start from page number 27 today, the heroic heart, and let us go through the verse again before we go to the commentary. So let's read the verse again. Yeah, would anyone want to do so?
Should I? Yeah. So, when unfavorable places are abandoned, disturbing emotions gradually fade. When there are no distractions, positive activities naturally increase. As awareness becomes clearer, confidence in the Dharma grows. To rely on solitude is the practice of a Bodhisattva.
Thank you. Yes, so let's start from here. As the wonder of the Dharma takes over our life more and more, page 27. Yeah, anyone who feels like going ahead, please.
As the wonder of the Dharma takes over our life more and more, we lose interest in other things that previously had seemed so important to us. It is like the leaves of a tree in the spring and summer when the tree is in full bloom. If we try to pull the leaves off the tree, there's a resistance because the leaves are firmly attached. But in autumn, The attachment eases and the leaves naturally just fall. They fall because they are getting ready for new growth. Similarly, as our interest and involvement in the Dharma deepens, our involvement and interest in so many other worldly distractions naturally fades away. We are striving to grow up and become adults in the true sense of the word. The Buddha called ordinary people caught up in worldly distractions the childish. We are trying to mature. Often the path is called mindrol. The word minpa means to ripen, to mature, and drol means to liberated, to be free. We have to ripen or mature our mind stream in order to be liberated. I'll carry
Yeah.
on, right?
No, I think let's stop here. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So this word dharma, this comes again many places. We read it in scriptures, and they say that it's coming from Sanskrit root, of course, and like we see in dharti, like dharti is also dha is there, dharma also dha is there, in dhanush also dha is there, and dharma basically coming from that root would be to hold together. And usually we see that we are not really held together. We are just scattered here and there. All of us, when we become conscious, we realize that we are not really unified. We are just scattered in ourselves. A bit is wanting this, the other bit is wanting that. So it's all, a bit is in past, the other bit is in future. So it's like a scattering. It's not like a unification. So dharma, also this dharma that they are mentioning here, that usually scriptures or any words or any good reflections or our own practice of taming the mind, it kind of, it brings us together. So within me, I become unified, and all of us see the benefit of it. It's like a palpable benefit that we get. And in Mothers and Sri Aurobindo's yoga, they also talk about swadharma, that each one of us uniquely have our own dharma, which is our own unfolding of life, and that keeps us together. That doesn't scatter us when we are able to follow that swadharma. And then, of course, we can ask question that how to know what is my swadharma, but only we can know, because only we would see the scattering that happens when I am not following that inner guidance and inner uh, light that all of us have. And for each one of us, there is a different swadharma. So no truth is uh, like we have all our, like, on an absolute level, truth is one, but uh, on an individual level, the unfolding of truth is different and very unique. And that's why we say that truth is not a formula. So one formula which works for one person uh, may not be the same that works for somebody else. It could be something different. So yeah, so just wanted to share a bit on this dharma now that it just came in front. Yeah. So any thoughts? Yes, Manmeet, please. You can go without raising your hand. So just unmute and share, please.
Yeah, I just didn't want to interrupt. Um, could you elaborate a bit on being childish? I kind of miss it. I loved my childlike energy, enjoying little things, finding joy in little things. I don't find anything wrong about that. In fact, if this is the path to liberation and to get detached, I surely want to walk this path. But I want to have a joyful path ahead, and I don't want to misunderstand this word childish because that's demotivating for me. I in fact
Yeah, yeah.
feel that एक बच्चा जब नाच रहा होता है without any care of the world, that's true liberation.
Yes, beautiful. So I think all of us may connect with that question that you have shared. There is a difference between being childlike and being childish. So what you were sharing is being childlike. So just kind of preserving our innocence, which we lose as we become adults. And that's what we like so much about children, little children, very little, because as they grow up, uh, somehow the sanskaras that one is born with, they come up, and the conditioning is also happening. So children remain mostly around adults, so that kind of conditioning also happens. So very soon that innocence, slowly we all know, it goes mostly away. And then masters and mystics have said that if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, you have to become a child again. You have to become childlike again. And the main quality that you were sharing, that we see with children, that they are fully here. They're fully here. Wherever they are, they're just fully there. You know, they've not yet started to be in the past. Agar seekhna bhi hai, to they just do like a, like a shout and then gone. They forget. Even two children we see playing little ones playing. Even if they fight over something, they fight and then they're back together again. But with us adults, that's not the case. We adults have uh, ruminations, regurgitations, which are not there with this childlike quality of children. Now, on the other hand, childish would be our, I think it's mostly taken, again, people can add, it's mostly taken in the sense of that stubbornness. All of us, when we are adults, we are hell bent, like we are so stubborn that if happiness has to come in my life, only through this person I will have happiness. Otherwise, I'll make my life miserable, which we do most of the time. Or when this happens, then I will have happiness. Otherwise, I'll just remain miserable. So, from time to time and through our experiences, we realize that the only thing that troubles us is our zid, bal hut. All of us have in Hindi heard this, the phrase, uh, the stubbornness of a child. You know? And that is what we kind of consider as childish. दैट बच्चा जिद करने लग जाता है कि नहीं चाहिए तो अभी चाहिए, बस नहीं तो बैठ जाएगा, उसके नीचे बैठ जाएगा और बोलेगा नहीं अभी चाहिए अभी चाहिए अभी चाहिए, एंड देन यू डिस्ट्रैक्ट द चाइल्ड एंड देन ही अगेन, थैंक गॉड फॉर द चिल्ड्रन, दे आर ओके अगेन. But we adults have this childishness, which is this stubbornness, I feel, and it's not totally can be called ripening or maturity. Maturity would be adapting to each and every situation as we go along. But what happens with us is we stick. And this stubbornness is also related to that stickiness. That अगर मिलेगा तो मेरे ही तरीके से मिलेगा, नहीं तो मुझे नहीं चाहिए. You know. And we realize, I was realizing when I was going through a very challenging phase that I talked to myself and I said कि मुझे क्या करना है, I'm suffering so much I'm suffering. Things have turned really so bad. What do I do? What do I do? And I just told myself कि एक जिद ही तो छोड़नी है, छोड़ दे. So just like a click of a finger कि उसी तरीके से चाहिए, उसी तरीके से चाहिए, उसी तरीके से चाहिए, पीछे पड़े हैं उसके. तो एकदम से वो जिद छोड़नी है, that stubbornness that we have. So I feel that this childishness is related to this our stubbornness of a child, not realizing what are the things happening and just sticking to our own idea, being rigid about my idea of whatever. And childlikeness is what you were sharing, that one would not like to lose, or if one has lost, one would like to gain it again, where we can just fully be joyful and enjoy the life also along with all the challenges that are there. Take it lightly. So that's what I feel. But yes, people are welcome to comment and add on.
Yeah, I think, just like it said in the opening, aspiration, that with boundless compassion and wisdom. So I think this wisdom aspect I would associate that what a childlike when it's saying like childish, sorry, not childlike, is that could be missing, right? Because everything is very just whatever one is feeling, one is doing, and there are, it's like not in a as in one is not mindful, I would say, like here the childishness that yes, like I'm not learning from where I am. I'm not observant of what is happening with me around me. So, I mean, absolutely resonating with what you shared, like the beautiful childlike qualities and childish, yes. So, stubbornness and not using facts. Just, yeah, I guess stubbornness is a very good word to describe that state, but the wisdom aspect also I felt could be there, yeah. Which obviously would be lacking if one is stubborn because then one is not being, yeah, दिख रहा है कि this is the cause, this is the reason, this is where I have been, I have done this so many times, and yet I want another toy or something. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'm assuming that is more at the moment. Let's go. So we see, many a times uh, we experience in our life that the same situation keeps reappearing and reappearing and reappearing. And I feel that that's the signal for us because we are stubborn, we are rigid, and it's very hard to learn the lessons at times which are required for the evolution or which are required for the growth, or what here was called as ripening and maturity. So maturity doesn't mean a kind of a seriousness, and you take everything seriously. We don't have to go there. That is not maturity. In fact, that would be, I definitely I'm lost somewhere else because we can't be so, because that's why we see that many lamas, Buddhist lamas, Tibetan monks, when they're truly, truly wise, they also have a very good sense of lightness and, humor and smile about them, cheerfulness about them. And it's not like, I'm somebody and, give me respect and seriousness to show that, see, I am the mature one. So not like that. So maturity doesn't relate to that, but maturity, as Taru was adding on, to the wisdom that comes to us through learning from our life experiences, you know. And it is seen in, even in our history, we have seen that we are so rigid that even like history also keeps repeating itself again and again, but we don't learn. We don't learn. So first one thing happens in one country, then it has to happen the other one, and then it has to happen the other one, and still we just can't learn from the previous experiences, and that is why those experiences keep on happening in a repeated manner by this way or that way, because that learning has to happen. Why it has to happen? Because if we look at the design of this manifestation, what is the purpose of us being here? What have masters and avatars told us again and again, time and again? And what does our experience tell us? That we are here, some part of it, if not all, definitely, for those of us who may not resonate, some part of it is definitely the evolution of our self, the growth of consciousness, ripening, maturity. And if that is not happening, then we are just inviting the same experience again and again. Many times it happens that you get separated from one person, and then the next one you marry, if you marry or become partners with, it's just the same person that you begin to hate in the previous one. So you keep on attracting the similar kind of people in your life. Why? Because the lessons have not been fully learned. And when the lessons are really learned and taken in fully, then we have also seen in our lives also, there must be many examples where people who were maybe very challenging or disturbing, and when we learned our true lessons, then circumstances were arranged in a way that the people disappear, or the challenge disappears, or I change that the person is not challenging anymore. Or you are shifted from one place to another, some shifting happens, because the lesson has been learned. So now that the same poison, if one can call it a poison, the same poison doesn't need to remain around you, in you all the time. So it's not a conspiracy from universe that see, I'm going to make things challenging for you. Nothing like that. In fact, the universe is for us, where it says that, see, I love you so much that no matter how much you try to escape, I will have you grow in beauty and harmony and wisdom and love. Like last time Manmeet was sharing that I want to be love. So this aspiration has arisen in me. And if the aspiration has arisen, the path will also be shown. So yes. So this ripening or maturity, growth of consciousness in Mother and Sri Aurobindo's terminology, it is required. We can't do without it. Otherwise, just things are keep on repeating themselves. Yeah. So let's go ahead and see what is in store. Yeah. Anyone who would like to read, starting from when the instruction says.
Yeah, Monica, I'll read.
Yes, please.
When the instruction says, when unfavorable places are abandoned, disturbing emotions gradually fade. It does not just mean moving to a different country. It can also mean changing outer circumstances that don't serve us, like endlessly watching television or looking at the computer or mobile phone, drinking and partying, or just talking a lot of useless gossip and worldly talk. Those situations create a lot of disturbance in the mind. Therefore, it is beneficial to avoid those things of activities and instead frequent places where people are interested in more spiritual topics such as Dharma centers or anywhere that has a positive atmosphere. We should associate with people who are kind and have good values and talk about subjects that have some genuine meaning. These are good places where one's negative emotions begin to subside.
Let's
So,
take
Monica,
a
I'll
pause.
continue or we'll
Let's take a
discuss?
pause. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Monica, this yesterday, what I was sharing with
Yes,
you
yes. Yeah, I was
that
also
has come.
thinking that. See, your aspiration must have been strong that it came today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, I think last time also this was read out when unfavorable places are abandoned, disturbing emotions gradually fade. And somebody had also raised a question that when we are meditating or when we are practicing mindfulness, how we become calm and at peace. And also, the outside triggers or interaction is not in that moment. The moment you step out and go into the world, those negative emotions again emerge. And that's been on my mind because that, of course, happens with me as well. And also, this was discussed that how, when we are going on this path, once we have attained our own liberation, we'll be able to go back to the world as a more liberated soul who's available to people. It is this availability to people which has been bothering me. So, on one hand, we're talking about being happy with ourselves and being alone, which I experience. I love my company. At the same time, I do miss sharing my aloneness with others, the joy with others. Today's session and one session on Gita are the two only interactions in my life at the moment. I don't want to be anywhere else. What's happening is that I'm losing touch with people. And this has not happened for the first time. Somewhere around 9 or 10 years back, I did go through this one shift. Many people naturally fell like those autumn leaves from my life, and there was no pain. They had to go. I think it's going to happen this time again. Yet, there are some leaves which are paining me to watch. For example, a relationship like your own mother who's given you birth. So it's always been a turmoil relationship. For years, not being able to accept. Now she's too old, and I supposedly have ripened a little, if not too much. I've begun to respect who she is. Yet it's become increasingly difficult to hold a conversation. There is no meaning. It's the same old thing. The only compliment I get is, "Aaj tu badi sundar lag rahi hai." And I want to say that to hell with this sundarta, I want to go beyond it. वही बात हो रही है, कितने पैसे कमा लेती हो, कैसा चल रहा है, and I can't hold a conversation. That leaf pains me. बहुत सारे पत्ते चले जाएंगे, I'll let them go, I'm prepared for it. And somewhere there is also fear. How many people want to hold a meaningful conversation? I hardly come across such people. It feels like a scary, lonely journey ahead, and एक एक इंसान छूटता चला जा रहा है. अजीब सा लगता है बहुत. I guess I'm seeking assurance at the moment that I certainly don't want to walk this path and return alone in the world like a sannyasi. I want to be in this world as a more loving and compassionate person. मुझे तो लग रहा है मैं intolerant हो रही हूँ. The only difference is my reaction has changed. पहले मैं rude भी हो जाती थी, गुस्सा भी कई बारी कर जाती थी. I stay silent. I simply walk away from the conversation or from those. That reaction has stopped. But in my heart, there was intolerance to what was happening. So I walked away.
New birth is not an easy process. I think all of us have been mothers. We know, and we may have a C-section. That doesn't matter, but I'm sure we know that it's not a easy process, and yet we all go through it. Not all, but most of us. So giving our own self new birth, and as you were sharing that, not even once, again, again, and again, so far necessary, as much as necessary. Especially in the beginning, I feel that it will hurt. It hurts us. It is not easy. And think about it, so many scriptures have been written, masters, tons of masters, books have been written. Mystics have come again and again, told us about the path, gave us pointers and hints and clues, wrote poems, big things. Avatars have come and gone. Had it been so easy, this process of giving new birth and reaching back to that place within which actually, in reality, we have never left. And yet we feel so lost that I don't know, like, who am I really? I don't know who am I. And yet that who am I is 24/7 present with us. So if the path was so easy, these kind of things won't be happening. The practice won't be necessary. Sessions won't be necessary. The books, avatars, mystics, masters, they won't be necessary. Meditation won't be necessary. So I mean, we have to just accept that difficulties, turmoils are all an auspicious part of the process. And everything is auspicious. There is nothing happening which is wrong. Even if you were sharing, that you feel like not talking to the things again and again and not about the same things. Completely okay. When we are leaving the old grooves and the new grooves have not yet fully appeared, what do we do? We are slipping back into the old grooves, but there is a disgust, there is an intolerance that you were sharing, because the being is ready for some another thing. It doesn't want, it has remained in the old groove for a long time. Now the old groove is not serving it anymore. So the disgust comes. And the disgust also has its proper place, because if the disgust would not be there, who will tell me that I have to go beyond? No? So this disgust is also temporary, as our all other things have been temporary. And of course, as you were sharing, that I want to be here in this world and yet full of love, compassion, and relatability. That is what all of us, in our own unique ways, will have to do. Even those sadhus or sannyasis, which we think that they're doing some alone tapasya somewhere else, they are actually never fully alone. There are people around. The supplies they require, they things have to be arranged. When we hear the story of Jetsunma Tenzin Palmo going for a retreat in this cave for 12 years, just look at her story. She needed the provisions from time to time, which related, which needed connections with people, and all that relatability that uh, we have to go through. Like, there is no other choice. So the relatability will be there, but I feel that this disappointment comes, that when we are not able to relate to people in a phase that may be there, that why am I not able to relate? And there comes a disappointment that, what will happen of me if I keep losing people one by one by one? You know? This disappointment, we have to see, is a vital disappointment. Vital means just emotional disappointment. And the other thing is that the prerequisite that I am taking here, the premise is that this is how we are supposed to live, always talking and relating with each other. Now, have we never, we should question it. In which scripture is it written? Because we, in India specifically, and we are all Indians, we honor our scriptures because we know that there is a lot of wisdom. In which scripture is it written that our only purpose is to keep talking, connecting, and interacting with people? Each and every scripture has said, as you were sharing yourself, go find yourself, go find yourself. हीरा लाल बिन लावे रे, जिन खोजा तिन पाई यहाँ गहरे पानी बैठ। तो कबीर भी कह रहे हैं हर दोहे में, कभी इस तरीके से उस तरीके से, भैया खोज ले, तेरे ही अंदर है, कब खोजेगा। या घट बीत भीतर, हीरा मोती याही में परखन हारा, कबीर कह रहे हैं। So all the scriptures, masters, mystics have pointed out that first find yourself when you are ready, so that as you were sharing, that the interactions and relations, they become more and more meaningful, and we all want that meaningfulness in our life, which you have been talking of. That fulfillment that comes through relating with people meaningfully and yet non-stickily. That there is a disinterestedness. You're not obsessively interested in somebody's life. You're just disinterested and yet there, available, as you were sharing. Available, but disinterested. There is no personal motivation. If there is a personal motivation, that's only benefit. May all beings be benefited. To me or others, doesn't matter, but maybe they be well and happy. So there is genuine goodwill in the heart, through which we begin to then relate with people. And I feel that I can connect with what you were sharing, that loss of true connection with the mother, in a passing phase, because it is again our conditioning that tells us that uh, if there are people who are blood related to you, you have to be more close to them, and you have to be connected on this level, that level, and you have to talk daily. I mean, who told us that? Why did I take for granted? I personally have never being so much connected to my parents. I still respect them, love them. I'm there whenever they need them. They are there whenever I need them. But there is hardly any talking at all. Because most of the times which you were talking, as you were sharing, yourself, it's like just rubbish. So why should I follow that dictate? I don't know who gave that dictate, that your father, your mother, talk to them daily on phones, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, show your face. Why? And that doesn't mean that you don't love them or respect them. So we have to, slowly, once we have lived those four boundaries, the four walls enough of our me and my blood relations, we have to come out of it, man. नहीं तो कैसे बनेगा वासुदेव कुटुंबकम? That the whole world is one family. If I just say that no, whole world is not one family, they may be one family, but I am this family. So how would that happen? So each and every aspect brings something more, like even this a little bit of disconnect, which may happen like a phase, in everybody's life. It actually helps us to connect, broaden our horizon. It doesn't shrink us, because if I find true satisfaction in my little limited life, which no one ever has found, then why would I care to connect with the Vasudev Kutumbakam? Why? Me and my family, all good. And that is why I feel that we don't really gain full contentment and fulfillment within these special relations that we call. Because that is not the design of this universe, that we just remain contented in our little knitted network. So it's good that we get disillusioned soon and we see that no, why this is so special? Everything is special and extraordinary for me. So that sincerity which you held earlier for just a couple of relations, that extends to the whole of people who are inclined in interacting and for meaningful purposes. Not that I am having a bias now, this is my blood relation, so I can, in the middle of a session, I can talk to my blood relation, but I cannot talk to this person because this is not my blood relation. So you are sincere to everyone then. है ना? तो ये हुई ना बात, that the sincerity expands. So I feel that there is nothing, whatever you are sharing, it's a beautiful process of growth. And when growth happens, we see happening in nature. Things fell off. Snake sheds the older skin so that the new skin can come. A cow, if you see giving birth on the streets in India, we see many times, it's a painful process, but the cow, wow, does all that by the natural process itself and done. The bachda is out on the street, full of that mesh of blood, all taken care of, and not a very easy, beautiful process. It can be ugliness associated there, for some of us, or some may find it actually very beautiful. So we see it all around in nature that the process of growth and change does require some annihilation, some shattering, and that's what we have to endure. We have to endure that shattering. Shattering will be there, but it's very good that it's happening in this very life, because many of us live a very limited, self-satisfied life, 80 years, 90 years gone with that self-satisfaction. Nothing major really, no growth really happens. जैसे पैदा हुए थे, जैसे ग्रो किए थे, बिल्कुल वैसे के वैसे एक रोल में, like done and dusted, and then again the story starts. As Sri Aurobindo talks about it, that the same story repeats, fruitless vistas of fruitless life, fruitless. And that is why when we begin to become conscious of the path, that yes, this is shattering, it is shattering me, it is bringing me a lot of turmoil, but I know this is beautiful. Then we can actually collaborate in this process of growth. And we don't have to waste yet another lifetime to be added in this fruitless vistas of life. Again and again, we'll keep on taking birth because this process has to happen. So why not take it as a challenge and go through all the shatterings and connect even deeper with the divine guidance and divine strength, which all of us have. Why not do that? So it's a blessing, really. It's a blessing that one is invited to be shattered within this very lifetime. Chosen ones, those who are chosen by the infinite, those who choose the infinite are the ones who are chosen by the infinite. So yes, spiritually speaking, very lucky. So I feel again and again we are invited to be comfortable in our discomfort. So many masters have hinted about that. To be comfortable with the emptiness, to be okay with the void, with the turmoil, to hold the turmoil, to keep holding it, not in any expectation that it would turn something, something, something. No, just holding, just like you hold your own child when the child comes running, crying to you. What do? As mothers, we just hold, just hold. You know, most of the times that holding itself makes the child, get relieved of whatever he's going through and done. So when turmoil comes, when struggle comes, when pain is there, when confusion is there, doubt is there, which is all a part of human process. Only if we can hold it, just breathing through it, and not asking that when will you leave. जब कोई घर पे आता है अतिथि देवो भव, as we say in India, जो घर पे आता है, अगर आप उससे पूछो कि भैया सर कब जाएंगे, so feel not very nice that you are not really welcoming the Atithi. But when the Atithi comes and you don't even ask when you are leaving and you're totally available, here I am, not excessively talking also, but available. Then, we are at home. So with all our, these disturbing things that come up from time to time, even that emptiness, the void, the lack of purpose, all the things, if we just begin to endure, and with endurance also comes back to back holding, like just holding. Thich Nhat Hanh really very beautifully talks about this holding mindfully. And he talks about just breathe through it. Keep breathing. Feel the sensation in the body and keep breathing. Not wanting anything, whether to go away, whether to transform into something beautiful, leave my life or things like that. Nothing. Just going through that physically in the body, breathing through it, breathing through it, breathing through it, breathing through it. And he says that as you breathe through everything that comes, that breathing, mindfulness of breathing, like it creates an envelope of energy in which you can hold that thing that is disturbing or coming, to want your attention. Just that. It's a beautiful practice for those of us who may have tried it. Really, really works pretty nicely and very simple. We don't need to read any book about it. I mean, everybody knows how to breathe, and we know how to bring our attention to breathing. We are lucky that we can do that. Not all people can do that. If my brain is misfiring, then I have no control over. If somebody asks me now, bring your attention to breath, I can't. The brain is misfiring. My attention, I can't regulate it, but we can. We can. So we must. This is the time to practice when we are young and healthy. We are still young and healthy, and still have mental and intellectual capacities of understanding. So again, it is like mastering ourselves and using our discernment that whatever is not serving me, like you were sharing, and that talking to some people doesn't serve me well. So it's completely fine to stop talking in that sense. If something meaningful comes, of course, we are not mad with anybody, but for just the sake of talking, the talking should never happen. I remember many years ago when I had gotten married, one of my relatives used to call, and again this thing and that thing and that thing and this thing. And one day I had to say that I'm so sorry, but I don't think that this is going to do anyone a benefit, neither me nor you. So let us, stop. And after that, we stopped, and still there is a healthy relation, and yet no negative and passive gossip and all these things. So we can share with our relatives that let us not talk about this and that. And my even my talks with that relative have reduced, like hardly once a month. But how does it matter? We wish in our heart good for everyone. Intention is good, you know. But this excessive talking for no reason, it drains our energies and brings a lot of negativity. So therefore, it is beneficial to avoid those kinds of activities and instead frequent places where people are interested in more spiritual topics. And this is again, we have to know that this is for people who would like to now change their life. This is not talking to people who are very self-satisfied with their life. So wherever we find more meaningfulness and beneficial, like whether solitude or spending time with a book or spending time with someone with which you can reflect on a book or whatever, whatever brings uh, like uplifts us, doesn't take us down. So it's good to choose that kind of a company. I remember one of my teachers, said that mind, yeah, we were talking of kusangati, like bad company. I think it was Prashant sir, if I'm not wrong. Yes, it was Prashant sir. So he said that sabse gandi company, the baddest company one can have is of our own mind. And he said that mind is like a sponge. If you keep it in a dirty, drainy water, smelly water, it will absorb that, which is our thoughts and feelings, mostly very negative, disturbing, past, future, present commentary. So that's the drainy, dirty, dusty water. And he says then if you keep it in good company, reading texts which are helpful, involving yourself in discussions which clarify and detoxify the brain, or doing work which clarifies and detoxifies, then it's like you are keeping a sponge in clean water. Knowing that it is still a sponge, it will absorb something or the other. Now, what is that something that you are giving it? So that would be really connected here. That's what is favorable and what is unfavorable. Abandoning the unfavorable. How would I know something is unfavorable? I would feel uneasy. I would not really feel light, cheerful, and clear in my mind. And whatever helps me practice more, whatever helps me clarify my mind more, simplify my emotions more, that is uplifting. That is a good company, favorable company. So that is what we must choose. Yeah. And then she says that these are good places where one's negative emotions begin to subside, because your attention is drawn to something which is more important. When negative emotions are there, my attention is always on my little self and this family member, that respect issue, that insult issue, always associated regarding that. But when something brings our attention to something which is so important and meaningful, and when our attention turns to that, then those negativity we leave behind. And whenever it will slowly, as we remain in that company even more, even when it shows its face up again, we would not be able to be angry at it. We will not be able to give those trivial little things and insults and rejections and approvals that much importance which I give right now. We would not be able to do that. And that is the very purpose of that immersion in scriptures or whatever words we are reflecting upon. Because that purifies. And when the mind rises out of that immersion and it interacts with the old triggers again, it is not the same mind. So it will not be reacting in the same way. And if it still reacts in the same way, it means that immersion so far has not helped. And as we know, everything takes time. Either that immersion or maybe I have to change some other immersion. Because if that will help, then I will feel uneasy if I react with the older behavioral patterns to the older triggers. I would feel that sense of uneasiness within that no, I could have been better. No? And that sense of uneasiness is good because it's telling me that, of course, I can be better. I have a choice. Yes. So, anything here, anyone, before we move to the next paragraph?
Yeah, one small thing. I have seen that, I don't know, there's some false sense of attachment to the things that don't serve me. If there is some, I don't know, maybe a relationship, a thing, a place which I don't even want to be with anymore. And if I just think that I have to leave, or this is not serving me, if I even acknowledge that, there is some pain associated there. Like it's beyond logic. And yet, just because the association has been long, it gives a kind of a thing that, oh, is this okay? Like, I hope nothing bad is happening if this is being let go. So that also I find interesting when I look. look at it, when I'm able to look at myself not wanting to be there, and yet seeing that, okay, this decision, which is so obvious because, I'm not liking it, and yet the moving away or just the not being there or the the decision even maybe it brings about things that, oh, as if I'm losing something, and it's quite fake is what I've seen, that it's just kind of, mechanical thing, that whenever I let go or whenever I decide to, okay, now I don't want to connect with them or remain connect, it's just it comes, and now I know it will come, now I know it will come, so I don't flow in that flow, right? Like it's like, okay, so just I've seen that, and it's interesting that it's there, but it is, and yet it doesn't have much truth in it. It's just how the nature is, that whenever you let go or you feel you are letting go, there's an associated feeling which we term as, "Oh, that sounds painful." Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I relate a lot to what Taru just shared, that it's more from the conditioning that I'm obliged to stay connected. I'm obliged to fulfill this relationship, especially when it comes to parents. And I've been questioning it for many, many years, and I've let go a lot of stuff. Yet, I can only share from my personal experience that it brings a lot of self-doubt. You begin to doubt your own self कि तेरी किसी से भी नहीं बनती, तेरा कहीं नहीं मन टिकता. And what is this thing called liking? Liking क्या होती है? कोई सेंस ऑफ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ड्यूटी होती है कि नहीं होती है? दिस इज माई इनर डायलॉग. और तुम्हारा मन क्या तितली है, उड़ता फिरता चलता रहता है, यहाँ नहीं बैठना, मुझे कल वहां बैठना है. एंड you suddenly find, like today, I suddenly find there are hardly any people in my life I can talk to or relate to. So this, I mean, today I think I'm able to say only because here are these two people, you two, who are able to understand me. नहीं तो लगता है कि कमी मुझ में ही है, कुछ मैं ही गलत कर रही हूँ. I'm not doing enough to sustain these relationships. I need to resolve something within. No doubt there are things to be resolved. मेरी judgments, मेरी ego, बहुत कुछ है. Yet, that's why आप let go नहीं कर पाते.
Today I was doing some work, and I came across a little excerpt by Jetsunma where she was sharing that this letting go that you were talking of, that's why Buddha said, that attachment is the cause of suffering. He did not say anger is the cause of suffering, although anger also makes us suffer since it is again connected to attachment, uh, attachment to my own idea of being the right one. But this letting go, again, we have to know that it is really, on one hand, very simple because I just let go. On the other hand, if I keep on thinking about it and not really honoring our inner peace, not really honoring our own growth, and honoring all the customs and traditions and conditioning that has been set and embedded in the mind, it's not possible really to let go. And that is why I think Taru had once shared that this art of living people, they have shared that the day when you lose respect is the day when you start to live truly. Because respect is always associated with identifying with social norms, and this is your responsibility and obligation. Now look at Buddha. Would he be respected when he left the house and left the wife and the child alone? Of course not. But what he gave us is something that we still need very badly after 2500 or whatever 3000 years. So we have to all lose respect if we want to really truly come back home to ourselves. Really, we have to. We owe this to ourselves because we are not made for those little small roles and obligations that tie us down and that really kill us, kill our soul actually, really kill our soul. And then, of course, when you have found yourself, which is again a long process, and yet at least a touch of glimpse has been given, then it is impossible that you are unable to love and feel compassion for people. It is impossible. Like the very side effect of finding yourself is that you are not obsessively interested in people, but if you interact with love and compassion because that is the side effect of knowing your true self. We can't help it. So what you have been wanting, in fact, what you were sharing, that I want to be love and compassionate, to people and want to interact. I don't want to just do my own nirvana, but that nirvana, the step of self-liberation from the sense of ego and roles and responsibilities, that is the very first step, which is necessary condition to be able to do what you wanted to do, to be able to be truly loving, truly compassionate, truly benefiting people. Because in those little roles and responsibilities and wanting to fit in and appease people, we can never, ever benefit people. I may wear the sari my mother-in-law wants me to wear, but that will just give her a momentary happiness. Nothing beyond that. Nothing. That's not true benefit. But if I stop to be what she wants me to be, and if I become who I truly am meant to be, then I think some benefit can happen at both the ends. Which again is a painful process because it hurts our egos. Her ego may be wanting, this is how you should become. My ego may be wanted, please stop expecting. So it hurts. But hurt is part of the process. What's the big deal about hurt? If it hurts for good cause, it's better to hurt. Because if we wear false masks to appease people, where I'm not my truly what I'm really feeling or wanting to be, then we fool ourselves and we are not even truly genuine to people, which cannot be love. Love is genuineness. So on one hand, I want to be loving, but on the other hand, I'm faking and creating masks. So what do I really want? So it's hard, and yet it has to be done. I feel it has to be done. It's our birthright to come back home to ourselves so that we can really be of benefit to ourselves and others. That's why the book is named as the heroic heart. There is heroism required of us. And we all have that capacity. Thank you. And let's maybe it's a good point to pause here. So it's page number 28 that I am pausing, and we'll take the next in the next session. So just taking a moment of silence before we leave, sharing all the merit, understanding, and clarity, and may all the sentient beings be content in their heart, and may all of us find lots of joy and progress in life. May our merits be shared with all. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.